You're here. Welcome to the Masterminding Success podcast. They say if you want to be successful in business and in life, then surround yourself with successful people. So pull up a seat. The mastermind is about to begin.
So I was wondering, if you raced yourself, would you come in first or in last?
I'll probably come last anyway, whatever I do.
Oh, hey, you made it. Glad you could join us for another episode of the Masterminding Success podcast. We're your hosts, Keith Wheeler.
And Nuria Corby.
And what are we talking about today, Nuria?
Today is another great topic as usual, and it's should we mastermind? So here we are, masterminding.
Yeah. I when we came up with this idea for this podcast or for this episode, I really was interested in this one in particular because masterminding is something I hadn't thought of up until a couple of years ago. I always thought maybe I wasn't, I wasn't advanced enough to mastermind with people. What do you think?
Well, I'll be truthful. I had to look it up, what it was even. I mean, I've heard the term to mastermind, but when I thought about it and we were going to do this podcast, I thought, well, let me just look up what it actually means, because sometimes we have a different idea, what something is. And it was roughly what I thought it was. But yeah, it's not something I've ever thought about. I think sometimes you mastermind intuitively with somebody, with a colleague or with somebody that you know. And we probably do it more often than we think. Yeah. But it's lovely to do it with a purpose, I think. If you have a purpose to mastermind, I feel that that's a lot better. And then you can structure your mastermind a bit better. That's what people do.
Yeah, I agree. I've been in a couple masterminds where it just seems to be everybody just seems to just kind of going off on their own little tangents. And at the end of the hour, however long you're together, you feel like nothing's really been accomplished. So I do agree. I think that a structure, and for people who don't know what a mastermind is, I mean, I don't have the technical term, the technical description of it, but to me, it's basically when a group of like-minded people that have, whatever topic that, whether it's, typically around business, but whatever business you're in, they get together and they kind of brainstorm. They talk about what they're working on, what's worked for them, what hasn't worked for them. And by being in a group of people who, again, are like-minded in the business of it, like what area they're in, then you get other points of views, experiences from people that have been doing it, longer than you, experiences from people who've been doing it, less time than you, and each of them have their own, advantages to getting that extra insight. And so that's my definition of a mastermind.
Yeah. I think you just said a word that I thought fits the term masterminding, or it's like an explanation. It's brainstorming. That's what I thought at first. I thought, well, really, it's like brainstorming something, because you put your ideas across, you listen to somebody else's ideas, and then hopefully you come up with something tangible and something that's useful. And that's what a mastermind should be. It should be, you should feel at the end of it that you've achieved something, or that you've learned something at least. And I don't think that I've ever not learned something doing this podcast, for example. So I think from that perspective, it works for me to do this podcast. I feel that by talking to you, I get more ideas, or I get a perspective on my own ideas. It just really helps. And I think that the question was, should we mastermind? And I would say, yes, definitely. I think it's a good idea. I think it's great, especially when you're in the type of business that we're in. We don't talk daily to somebody who's in the same business.
Right.
We work from home. So usually it's our partner. I'm lucky because my husband is now in the same business, but normally people don't have that. They work And when I started blogging, for example, I was doing this by myself. So I had nobody to bounce ideas off, really. And I think that's what a mastermind can really do. And I think even for people who are listening to us now, they can probably get together in little groups and form a mastermind group and get some benefit from that. I think our Facebook groups are sometimes a little bit like that. You know, you can bounce off ideas, but then sometimes you don't want to give up ideas away either. So it just depends.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think what you said, different perspective is really a great way to look at it. You know, it's not someone saying, you know, their way's better, but, you know, so many times when in business in general, whether you're doing books like we do and or you're in other business, you know, you're going to get hangups. You're going to get things that just stop you in your tracks. And it could be something major, it could be something minor, but to be able to talk to somebody else that's been there too, and, you know, and just say, look, this is an issue I've been coming up with, you know, whether it's, you know, KDP is banning a lot of people, like what's going on, you know, just again, just getting other perspectives of it. You know, people who've been doing it longer can say, yeah, they just go through these cycles. It's, you know, nothing really to worry about. It's just kind of them cleaning house. Or, you know, it could be, you know, questions. I'm thinking about maybe outsourcing some of my work, you know, little things like that, that you can most likely handle on your own, but you save so much more time by learning from other people and getting other people's, again, like you said, perspectives of it. Again, you don't necessarily have to do what they said or take their suggestions, but at least it makes you think, you know, and I'm really big on thinking outside the box, and a lot of that really is able to be done when you get other people's takes on things instead of just, you know, being in your own little bubble. And especially if you're introverted, it's, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because it's harder to reach out to other people because you're an introvert. But because you're introverted, you get so much more information, you know, that you can really just, you know, absorb, whether, like I said, whether you decide to use it or not, you're still learning.
And sometimes I find, even if you're not actually learning anything new or you don't get any ideas, but just that reassurance that somebody else can give you, you know, if you've got something on your mind and you think, I'm not sure about this, and then somebody else tells you, well, no, that's happened to me, it's fine, you know, it's normal. Even that on its own can be really beneficial, because it makes you feel more secure in what you're doing. And so it's not always about learning new things. Sometimes it's just about sharing ideas and sharing things that have happened, and you get the feedback from other people, which is nice. So definitely, especially for the kind of businesses that are from home or from online, where you don't really talk to many people, I think it's a really good idea to have a mastermind, to do this, to have this as an activity, really, because it's beneficial on so many levels. So that's my opinion on it.
I couldn't agree more. Another thing that I've found, at least in the masterminds I've done, is it helps me stay on track. It helps me hold myself accountable. You know, if I'm, you know, one of the things we'll always talk about is what we're currently working on, and because I'm sharing that. And when you first start out, you might not be 100% comfortable with the people that are in your mastermind. Maybe you don't know them a lot, so you might not want to divulge all of your business information. But, you know, just something as simple as, I'm working on a new project, and you know, I want to get it launched by such and such a date. By saying it verbally and having other people know, then they can hold you accountable. You know, it gives you that, you know, kind of that push that you need, at least for me, to stay on track, because, you know, the next time you meet, whether it's you know, in another month or in another week, or however often that you do meet with your mastermind, you know, they're going to be asking you how that project's coming along. And so, you know, it's, to me, it's just one more benefit of it. And I know there's a lot of people out there that may be saying, one, you know, I haven't been doing this long enough. I don't think I should do a mastermind, because, you know, what can I offer? But and trust me, I was there. You know, like I said, I've been in this business for, you know, since 2016, but, I just started masterminding a couple of years ago because, again, I didn't think that I had enough experience to offer anybody. But a fresh set of eyes is, and a newcomer's excitement and all of that can definitely bring a additional insight into a mastermind.
Absolutely. And yeah, I really agree with what you just said about not feeling, that you can contribute enough or something of value. But I think we really need to let go of that feeling that we're not good enough for something, because,
all right,
it's not about being good enough. It's about sharing experiences and sharing what we think. And, and those things, you don't need experience as such for those.
right.
Of course, it's better if you do have some experience and you can contribute in that way. But ideas are free. Ideas can suddenly come and there's no experience behind it. So I think we need to really let go of all this self-doubt and all this insecurity that we often have. It happens to me as well all the time. But I try and shake it off, because I think it's false. It's not, it's not real. We all have something to contribute. And even a person who's just starting, like you said, just that energy, that excitement of being new to something, that in itself is worth something for a group environment. So
no, I agree. Especially if someone in that group is at that mentality where they're like, frustrated and things aren't going their way, and they're thinking about, like throwing in the towel. Having somebody excited and new, that could give them the boost that they need to keep going, and so I absolutely think that no matter how long you've been or have not been in whatever industry you're in, I definitely think masterminding is a good option. And especially when you first start out, you can start with people that that are in that same area, or you can just go on to a Facebook group that you're a member of, or whatever group you're a member of, and maybe just someone that you've been chatting with, message them and see if they'd like to do a mastermind. It doesn't have to be an hour long. You can kind of feel it out and see what works. But I'll tell you, I've been in masterminds that when I first started, I didn't know anybody in the group, and 2 years later, they're some of my closest friends, and they're people that I know one thing, that especially in the book realm, people don't like to really share all their ideas because they're afraid someone's going to steal it. Well, I can't use up all the ideas I have in my head, and so I use these people to say, look, this is an idea I have for a book. Do you think it's got a shot? Do you what do you think? Maybe some of them are like ideas that I had, but I'm not really excited about anymore, going back to that excitement. And so, I'm like, should I even consider it? And then someone on, in the mastermind is super excited, and they're like, yeah, that sounds great. I like that too. I'm like, what, then you take the idea, because if you're that excited about it, you're going to do a way better job at it than I am.
That's very true.
And like I said, ideas just keep coming, it's never ending. So, and realistically, I can't do everything that I'm thinking about. When it comes to masterminds, I think that the biggest rule I have is I don't want to be the most advanced person in the mastermind, because I always like learning. If I'm the most advanced, then sometimes it just feels like it's more of a coaching than a mastermind. But getting a good, eclectic amount of people in there, and I'm not talking 20, 30 people. I'm talking, mine are usually between 5 and at most 8 people. I never even go close to 10 people in a mastermind, because first of all, you're gonna be there forever talking, and because you want to make sure everybody has their unique time to talk, but you also, like I said, at least for me, my time is too busy. I can't spend a couple hours. We're usually in and out within an hour and a half.
I think that's a really good point. And Yeah, I think, sorry, if anybody can hear this little squeaky noise, it's just my cat. And this is the other one. This is not the one that normally jumps up and shows her face. This is the little blind one. And sometimes she just walks in here and I think she's so old now, she forgets what she's doing, a bit like me, really. and she suddenly starts squeaking. So she's just behind me now. And you might be able to hear her now and again. So I just thought I'd let you know. Okay, but she seems okay at the moment, so I'll leave her be.
Good.
Yeah, so yeah, masterminding. I think you brought up some really good points there. You know, having smaller groups does make a difference, I think, so that everybody can say something, and not being the one with the most experience is also good. Although there will be somebody with more experience than others, but I think, you know, sometimes the people with less experience can really trigger other things that the person with the experience might not have thought of. So I think everybody's just as valuable regardless of their experience, and that's why it's a mastermind. That's why everybody kind of contributes to a whole. So I think, you know, that I can't see any negative points about a mastermind.
I agree. I mean, short of, you may have to give up an hour of your day. That's about the only, that's about the only negative I can think. I mean, and again, I've been in masterminds where, especially like I said, in the book realm, a lot of us are introverted. And where someone will come in, a new member, and they'll be very quiet the first, 1 or 2 meetings that we have, and that's absolutely fine. Just sit back and kind of absorb what's going on and how it works and things like that. So again, I don't want people to be fearful of it, especially with, the last few years when we spend even more time inside than we spend outside talking to other people. I think it's even more important to get other people's points of views and ideas, like I said, I mean, brainstorming to me is really the biggest way to explain what, at least the masterminds that I'm a part of, what they feel like. And they feel like just brainstorming, like you said, like what we do in these calls. There's a point of them, there's an overall topic that we're going to be discussing, but other than that, it's really just us going back and forth and really just giving our views and our thoughts.
Yeah, it's just like having a chat. I think the word mastermind sounds a bit mastermind. It sounds a little bit, I don't know what the word is, but it can be a little bit scary for somebody who hasn't done them. And really, it's just a chat. It's just,
it is. Yeah, it does. It sounds a bit more advanced.
It does.
That's masterminding. That sounds like something that that multimillionaires do. And I will tell you, I will tell you, from articles I've read, that is things that a lot of multimillionaires do, is they mastermind, because they're keeping their mind open to other people's points of views. And the number of times that I've saved time and money because of advice that I've gotten from the other members of my mastermind, has just been priceless, and definitely is worth the hour and a half I spend every month chatting.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Well, this has been another great mastermind, Nuria. Once again, a huge thank you to all our listeners and viewers who came to tag along. If you enjoyed the mastermind today, please consider following or subscribing to the podcast, and maybe even leave us a review and let us know what you thought. It would mean the world to us. Until next week, I'm Keith Wheeler.
And I'm Nuria Corby.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining the Mastermind today. Be sure to follow the podcast on your platform of choice and tell a friend who would enjoy it too. Your support is greatly appreciated. This has been the Masterminding Success Podcast.